I personally believe, and I'm gonna tell you what I believe versus what I know as a fact, that you could know what to. If I say I believe, you could say, oh, you disagree. If I say I know as a fact, you can't disagree with actual paperwork and the facts. What I believe is that the feds fast tracked an ongoing indictment for multiple reasons. Let me give you some details. This entire situation got started, and the feds got involved after there was a kid that got killed who they claim was by Big U. The kid made a diss song to Big U. He was signed to Big U. Big U supposedly reportedly had an altercation with the person at the studio, brought that kid to somewhere else, and then they believe at that spot, Big U shot the kid in the head. Then brought the kid's body to the side of a highway and dumped it. Okay? Now, the reason why all this is happening, and because I keep telling you the feds don't really come in and fuck LA that much, is that it looks like Big U has been in a very interesting place. He's been a target of many things. Not only has he been going around bragging that he's like, like the Crip version of what Suge Knight is, people are looking at him to be like, yo, okay, if this is, he's been a community leader as well. So when you get to be extra OG, you get to be a community leader. So Big U was running this organization called Development Options, but was also working through what they call a grid program, where it was getting paid over like $540,000 a year. So in about a few years, he got paid almost damn near $3 million, because the program they have in LA is that the cops, it's not like these other places, like say New York. The cops are scared of the gangs. You know why? Because the gangs almost outnumber the cops. Okay? So they try to work with them to some extent. So, in some cities, they do what's called a grid program. What a grid program is that, they're going to rely on older and senior members of maybe a gang to try to restore some peace and squash the violence. And also, if there was a situation to happen, that person is going to work with law enforcement to make sure it doesn't go further. Okay? You guys can Google this. It is widely available. It's called the Grid Program Los Angeles. Okay? If you read about it, it will tell you it's a gang prevention program that hires actual older gang members, because at least in LA, there's a hierarchy. They do care about what the older heads say, as opposed to other places. And they give those people funds and resources to try to, squash violence or retaliatory shit. Okay? All right. So the murder happens. Allegedly. They think it's Big U, but they can't figure it out as Big U. Why can't they figure it out? So at the point, the altercation happened. The first altercation happened with the guy who died in a studio. It was Big U's studio. So apparently Big U orders for all the what do you call it again? I can't speak right now. He orders for all the security cameras to be discarded. So no one could ever find out what happened and how bad the scuffle was before the night the dude disappeared. The witnesses, whether the person who drove Big U to Vegas, because this happened to Vegas, not LA, other people that were around, whether in the studio or whatever, everyone was told, do not speak with the police. Now, it wasn't until a long time afterwards till police, did their due diligence and realized like, oh shit, they believed it was Big U. But what they did do before they got there, and you got to imagine at this point, Big U's getting millions of dollars from this grid program. They want to know if this guy's a criminal. They actually opened up what's called a Title III intercept, which is a wiretap. And they started tapping his phone. And when they tapped his phone, he clearly thought he had got off, because visibly they didn't show that they were around him anymore. So he started yapping, telling them what Yo, I ran down on this person. Yo, I did this nigga gave me this money. And I don't know if that's fully in here.
Shoulder to shoulder.
Church did money from that indictment. And
okay, but I do have the indictment here. And I'm going to not read through the whole thing, but I'm going to spell it out pretty quickly. So check this out. First and foremost, the reason why I think that WAC 100 affected this case, and I said it in front of him, and I'll say it to y'all, I think WAC tipped off Big U's family. This was not a grand jury indictment. This was a criminal complaint. A criminal complaint is used to, if you're charging someone with murder, that's not going to stick. You get what I'm saying? Like a criminal complaint, no. You want it to be grand jury, which means there was an actual legal proceeding where you presented evidence and they agreed with the evidence. So this was just to get Big U in custody. Well, why would they do that? Why would they need to get Big U in custody? Well, WAC 100 was online for the last like 3 weeks before this got announced saying, yo, they're coming to get you. Run, 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 run. So I would imagine that that's more of a contributing factor than anything else. Okay? So cool. So it's a criminal complaint. It got filed here. And then we're going to keep scrolling down. This is a whole indictment, by the way. Now, there's some redacted pieces here. And the redacted pieces tell you that you're going to see in a superseding indictment. Now, this is the purpose of the affidavit. So they're saying Big U, these other people, they're running this enterprise. And they're saying, like, you know, for example, Tremaine Ashley Williams, which is loose cannon. He did a few things by robbing people, this and third, and they mentioned some women, all type of shit. Now, they also got a search warrant. They didn't run through his houses, and I don't know what they found. But let me explain essentially what this investigation was. In February 2021, FBI, Los Angeles Metropolitan Task Force on Violent Gangs, launched an investigation into Henley's criminal enterprise and its association with the Rolling 60s, which began investigating in 2020. It's like mafia-like. It utilizes Henley's stature and long-standing association with the Rolling 60s and other street gangs to intimidate businesses and individuals in LA. Big U Enterprise is led by Henley. Henley is a self-admitted gang member, or OG, okay, original gangster, of the Rolling 60s, which is a violent criminal street gang with associated sets in other states. He's widely acknowledged as a leader, and apparently in the 80s, he rose to prominence in his position, and he's been there ever since. During this time, he also earned a reputation of being an enforcer for the 60s. Some members of the enterprise are also members of the 60s. Henley is able to lead the Big U Enterprise because of his stand-in as the face of Rolling 60s for decades and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so the feds are painting two pictures. There's Rolling 60s and Big U Enterprise, okay? So they then say the associates of Rolling 60s and other criminal elements for mutual benefit, but the Big U Enterprise is a distinct and independent criminal enterprise engaged in criminal activity.